Hey Hodies, welcome back to my channel. My name is hautemesstom and thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today's video is another Critical Sass. Critical Sasses are my new makeup release videos where we celebrate what's good and we come after those that are bad. We try to discern what's worth our money and what definitely isn't, unpack makeup marketing, and that's just like what the gist of this video is. I ran out of breath before the word is. Let me tell you why. I've been on a wild goose chase. It's Friday. It's Friday. Everybody get down on Friday. And you know what I did today? This morning I watched one of Kackie's videos. She tried on the new Equinox de Chanel blushes. And I said, I would like that. And I waited all day and I knew in my heart of hearts, I knew in my mind, I knew logically that thing was going to sell out. But I'm going to wait till after work. But I knew I should have bought it right then and there. But I was like, let me think about it all day. And then by the end of the day, I still wanted it. So I thought that was a good idea. And so I went to go look for it. It's out of stock on the Chanel website. I go to bloomingdales.com to see if they have it in stock, and they do. It says low stock. I try to add it to my cart. It says, no, you can't. There isn't any. I think I've seen this before. 2 years ago, when I tried to buy Shawn Mendes tickets, I was trying to get VIP tickets. I was trying to get the meet and greets, okay? And I just kept refreshing the page, and I eventually got my meet and greet tickets. But then the show did get canceled. And we're not going to let history repeat itself because I deserve this. I deserve this. Beyonce already canceled on me this year. I want this blush, okay? There's no harm in that, okay? I just want the blush. I want the mauve, okay? I'm a simple human with simple needs. It eventually lets me add one to cart. I'm in the cart. I'm trying to check out. It says, there's no stock of that. Please remove to complete your purchase. And I said, that is the only thing I would like to purchase, Bloomies. So you're just gonna let me. So I kept hitting the purchase button. I kept hitting that PayPal button. It did eventually let me check out. Do I think there's a high likelihood that they're gonna email me later and be like, so no? I don't do that all the time, by the way. I just wanted it, you know? And I felt the fire inside of me because I didn't want it until I watched Kackie put it on. And it wasn't even the way Kackie was talking about it. It was when it went onto her face and I said, oh me, oh my, as Rena Sawayama once said, I need to have it. What I do in these videos is I troll through, only true bimbos will know, I troll through Scrunmood. I can't even say it right anymore. I will scroll through accounts on Instagram like Trendmood1, Point and Click Vibes, and Makeup on My Radar. So if you're not familiar with any of those accounts, I will try to remember to link them down below. Go follow them. That is good, hard work that those people do. They put their accounts in the hands of those brands because so many of those accounts end up getting taken down. Follow them. They do hard work. That is work. Use their affiliate codes. They're doing work. And if they didn't do that work, videos like mine and other new makeup release videos that happen on YouTube wouldn't happen. I'm gonna start on trend. I think there's a lot. We're heading into holiday season and it's going that away. I know it's August and I know you know it's August and I know if you've like been in the beauty world, like if you've been paying attention to cosmetics for a while, you know that like now is the time. Here we are, once again, torn into pieces. I need to start instead of making song references. Let's go. So sometimes I like to just talk about things that are happening in the makeup world as opposed to like a new makeup release. Since we last spoke, Pat McGrath is now going to be also sold in Ulta. Now, I've been tracking this, tracking what's been going on with Ulta for a little bit. When Chanel started selling at Ulta, I thought that was pretty interesting. When Natasha Denona did it, I thought it was something. Pat McGrath doing it feels a little different to me, but that is 100% my bias. I say that now. I have a bias towards this brand against it. I mean this. I do think they're circling their drain. It's not because they're moving to Ulta. I think that's probably ultimately a good move for them. It's going to get them in front of new eyes, especially if it's going to be sold in stores in major markets. Perhaps people don't know about Pat McGrath. Perhaps this will get more eyes on Pat McGrath. But I also have to admit, personally, if I walked into an Ulta and I saw Pat McGrath with no context, Chanel, I feel like many people, like, even if you don't know that Chanel does makeup, like about Chanel. Like, you've heard Chanel, it's like a luxury brand. You're going to understand that that's not going to be a cheap run. You're not going to go over there and go, yeah, I'm going to come out with, only spending $20. But for people who don't know, and they would like walk into an Ulta and see Pat McGrath potentially on the shelves, they'd be like, who is this? And why is this $125? But I think what will be most telling is during sale season and coupons, whether or not Pat McGrath is applicable. I'm not well versed in the couponery of Ulta. I know a lot of times the coupons that come out are not for the high-end stuff there. It's normally for like the drugstore stuff. Sometimes they are included. But what's never included is number one to Chanel. None of the Chanel stuff normally is on those coupons. I have a feeling that Pat McGrath is going to run sales just as much at Ulta as they do on their website. That's my guess. Throw a stone, find a Pat McGrath sale. I think that will continue at Ulta. And I also think that makes more sense at Ulta. If Pat McGrath leaves Sephora altogether, I wouldn't be surprised because they seem to be marking stuff down on their website all the time. Like their sales fluctuate. And I think that's more common in an Ulta setting for like there to be sales all the time. Now, I know there are like daily deals and whatever at Sephora sometimes. Like, there are moments of sales. But like, Pat McGrath will like knock 40% off of her palettes if you're paying attention to her website. And I just feel like that feels more like an Ulta thing than it does feel like a Sephora thing. And that's not to say that that is better or worse. You know, I'm not trying to like qualify that. I've worked at Sephora before, and I just know that we like sales didn't really happen that often. And I also think that Sephora doesn't want like markdowns like that to have all the time, you know, happen. Anyway, I do think the brand is in trouble. I'm going to say this right here, right now. I'm kind of done with the Pat McGrath discourse because I'm just saying the same stuff over and over again. I think it's a banned brand. I'm still going to use the stuff that I have from Pat McGrath on my channel, and I will like affiliate link it. Like, I'm not trying to say that I'm not going to do that anymore. That's not how I'm feeling. I don't think the brand is so bad, but I don't want to talk about their new releases anymore because I don't think they're even worthy of like shitting on, because it's literally the same thing over and over again. I'm tired of talking about it. I feel like you're tired of hearing about it. I don't actually think you're tired of hearing about it, but I think the people who keep asking me to talk about it or ask my thoughts on Pat McGrath are like waiting for me to change my mind, and I just don't think it's going to happen. Here's my hope. There's been a lot of talk about investors and whatnot, and that's the reason that like Pat McGrath feels like it's fallen off the wagon. Like, that's why people aren't like, because, you know, the investors in the brand need stuff that sells, so it's why we've been getting boring collections, and it doesn't feel like the Pat McGrath of days yore. I want Pat McGrath to pull a Bobbi Brown, the person, leave her namesake brand, have a second brand, or, you know, just, or I don't know, disassociate herself entirely with the Pat McGrath brand, which is like feels weird to do, and like release what you're interested in. That's assuming that Pat McGrath is interested in doing interesting makeup for the mass market like she once did. That's assuming that's what she wants. She might like where her brand is at, the one with her name on it. If she's not into that, I would love to see like a Jones Road. And what I mean by that, I don't want Pat McGrath to do exactly Jones Road. I want Pat McGrath, as Bobbi Brown did, to leave the namesake brand and come out with a brand that she's more interested in. Anyway, let's actually talk about makeup now. Glossier, I think this is already out. At least I think you can buy it at Glossier. I don't know when it comes to, it might be available on Sephora. I checked. I almost bought this. Okay, so Glossier is releasing the Stretch Fluid Foundation. It's an 89% skincare base, a moisturizing gel cream emulsion featuring plant-derived squalane and glycerin to moisturize and nourish the skin's moisture barrier in 32 shades and 7 shade categories and 5 undertone groups. And then they also are expanding the stretch concealer to have just as many shades as the foundation. Here it is over here. I love to see a shade extension, you know, from Glossier. Historically, Glossier, that's been like the vibe whenever it comes to shade, like the shade range of Glossier. So love to see that. I didn't really love the stretch concealer, but when I tried Glossier on camera, if there's still any of my Glossier reviews on my channel, they might not be, they might be privated. I like was into a different phase of my makeup life. A couple years ago, I still had the Glossier skin tint and I used it up and I really loved it whenever I was finishing it up. It was like, it turned into something that I really enjoyed. So I think I like Glossier complexion products. And so I would be very keen on trying this. It's like something that came up that I was like pretty excited about. I haven't seen the whole shade range, and my friend Cam, they are known on here as Clove Room on YouTube. I will try to remember to link their channel down below. And if I don't, remind me. Someone very kindly did that in a video where I mentioned someone else and they were like, can you link to them? And I was like, of course I can. I'll try to remember to link Cam's channel down below. They haven't done a video on it yet, but I know they're like amidst testing it. Hopefully we'll see it on their channel soon enough. But they also, if you're just interested in Glossier in general and you like haven't taken the dive, Cam did a really great Glossier in-depth video reviewing like almost all of the Glossier catalog. So go check that out if you're interested in Glossier specifically and hearing about it from Cam. This is definitely something that I'd be interested in. I love light coverage. I love lightweight formulas. This really speaks to me. I'm curious what the difference is. I'm sure it has more coverage than the skin tint, which I adore. Like, I love the skin tint. I love that it basically has no coverage. I'm not always looking for like full coverage. And it's okay that if your skin is different than mine, if you would like full coverage. I'm always interested in trying things that might remind me of the Surratt Dewdrop Foundation at a lower price point. And this feels like a formula, sounds like a formula that could potentially be that, because the Surratt Dewdrop Foundation, that's my girl. It feels like, what is Glossier doing? That's kind of how I feel. It's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you adding? Like, what are you adding? What are you doing? Now that Glossier is in Sephora, we're going to see more regular limited edition releases from them. This isn't really insider information. It's just something that I recall hearing in passing. So I don't know how true this is. This has happened when I worked at Sephora, but I'm fairly certain the brands at Sephora, like if you are at Sephora, there's a certain amount of releases you have to do each quarter to like, you know, have different things in stock on the shelves. And especially I have been to 2 of the 3 Pittsburgh stores since Glossier went into Sephora, and And those two stores have Glossier inside of them, which leads me to believe that Glossier is inside a lot of stores because we don't get a lot of the bigger brands in the Pittsburgh locations. Only one of our stores, I think, has Gucci in it, maybe two. Anyway, that's besides the point. Glossier is in the stores, so in the store, you're going to have things, new things for people to look at all of the time. And so I think we're going to see more releases, maybe more interesting releases. That's the hope from Glossier. Any which way, I think we're going to see more releases than they have had in the past historically. Some people had asked me to talk about Prada Beauty. So Prada, Fenty, Gucci, Prada, New Bottega, Prada. Are there any other nows?
What you said? Queen.
Instinctually, my gut wants me to be really excited about it. It showed up on the radar, you know, started showing up on these accounts, and a lot of my peers were like, ooh. And I looked at the imagery and I thought, okay, I'll wait. The quads are interesting to look at because it's like 3 neutrals and like 1 pop of something just like bright, like 1 bright. And they kind of vary. There are ones that are like less bright, but there's this one palette that has like a purple, a pink, and a vibrant green in it. And there's this one that has like gunmetal and then a purple and a red, which is the one of the ones that my friend Kackie of Kackie Reviews Beauty has. And she has dived into this. If you are looking for a Prada review and you haven't found it yet, check out Kackie's channel. She has a couple videos where she uses some Prada stuff, so check that out. The lipsticks, it's really hard to get me stoked about a lipstick. I just like, I'm not a lip product girly. Like, I don't get into it. I don't even feel like I'm that picky about lip products. I have come to like more lip products recently. With the past couple of years, I've been like a little more into it. But even though I have been more into lip products, a lipstick release, like I'm in the Matrix and the bullets are coming at me and like lipsticks are flying at me and I'm just like dodging them. Who cares? You know what I'm interested in? This is bad. Remember like 3 months ago whenever Guerlain previewed their fall releases and they had a bunch of brown lipsticks? I was scrolling through Sephora when I had my 20% off coupon from the Friends and Family sale. I did have one in my cart for a bit, and I've heard only great things about the Guerlain packaging and formula. It's not the most interesting shade range when it comes to lipstick. What I appreciate about the quads is like there's that random color in there. It's like, good luck, figure out how to use it. I do feel as though whoever's running like Prada's beauty, whoever's like helping them, must watch a lot of YouTube and see a lot of feedback, because I think they were like, we can't make it completely boring. Chantecaille has that, Chanel has that. What's gonna like vary us from the other luxury makeup brands? It's like, well, let's do like a really wild pop of color in our eyeshadow palettes. And I like appreciate that. Do I understand it? No. It doesn't like, do I look at any of those and I go, I would like to purchase that? No. But I will say, having watched Kackie put the one that has the pop of red and the gunmetal on, I went, gunmetal? Gunmetal, you say? It was a really interesting look for Kackie to be wearing, but I also was like, I'd wear that. I'd wear that. Oh my God, my wrist is already tired. We're only on like product 2 and my wrist is tired. We might have to switch hands. That's my bad. I did that. That's my fault. It's not Prada's fault. It's my fault. Hold on. Let's switch hands. Okay, this wrist, not as tired. It's a problem. I have very weak wrists. Unlike the eyeshadow palettes, the lipsticks don't really give me anything. Gucci does a really great job doing like really nuanced lipstick shades. And I'm sure that if I saw these shades in person, there was probably nuance to them, but nothing that truly excites me, you know, nothing that makes me want to pull the trigger. But again, you know, I watched Kackie put the coral that she bought on her lips and I said, that's very pretty. However, the foundation, if you're new here, I love complexion. I don't really give a rat's ass about eyeshadow anymore. I know what I like. I have a lot of what I like. There's like very few things that I think could be released now that would make me go, I want to buy that eyeshadow palette right now. What I have on my eyes today is an old eyeshadow palette that I've had for almost a year, and then also a palette that was gifted to me, and that's like that's on privilege. Not everyone gets an eyeshadow palette sent to them, especially the Isabella one, which is what's on my eyes right now. I'm only trying the Isabella one because it was sent to me. Like, eyeshadow, not my passion. I mean, it is a passion. It's like more about applying it now than it is about the rush of finding a new eyeshadow for me. But a foundation, as we just discussed with the Glossier foundation, a foundation, that's different. And what's not great is that I'm friends with Kackie, a personal friend of Kackie now at this point. I watched her open up the box. We just finished recording our podcast, patreon.com/hautemesstom. She unboxed it and then pumped them out. It was like a perfect match. Me and Kackie are skin twins, and I was like, a perfect match. Are you telling me that I need the Prada foundation? I just want you to know, Kackie's never like actually pressured me into buying something. She will tell me if something's really good, just like for my consideration. She will like personally be like, I think you will really like this. Tom, you would really like this. She's been tried it in a few new videos, and she has like texted me. She's like, this PRADA foundation though. And it's on the docket maybe, but I'm not running. And here is why. And this is what this channel is all about, really. I have foundations that I'm really happy with. I'm about to finish one. So that maybe leaves the opportunity. Maybe I might try the PRADA foundation. But there's actually a lot of complexion products coming out right now. So I would really want to figure out which one that I would want to invest in. And like right now, it's the PRADA one. That might be the one that I try. But it also might not be the one I try. One thing I will say is that it's pretty reasonable. It seems like relatively reasonably priced for luxury makeup. In fact, it seems like on the lower side of luxury pricing. What I might say about the quads is what I find in luxury quads is that they look really pretty, but whenever you hold them in the hand, they don't feel heavy. Kackie has confirmed that there is weight to those, because like the Tom Ford one doesn't have weight to it. I've heard that the Guerlain one doesn't have weight to it. The Chantecaille quads don't have weight to them. I am interested in this PRADA foundation. It sounds like a dream. Sounds like things that I like light coverage, breathable, perfect match for my skin. I mean, that's kind of hearsay. I haven't tried that on my skin. But like, Kackie and I buy the same shade in like everything, and it works for both of us. So I'm just saying, it's not out of the realm of possibility that you might see this PRADA foundation on my face at some point. I've already switched back to my weak wrist. Charlotte Tilbury x Disney. Who cares? Fenty released, since we last talked, the Blur and Smooth Tint Stick. It's the Eaze Drop or Easy Drop. This light coverage long wear formula melts effortlessly for a second skin natural finish. The creamy, smooth texture instantly blurs, resists fading, and transferring in 25 shades. I have an unpopular opinion. I hated the Eaze Drops, the original ones. I understand that this is like maybe like supposed to be like the other option. Fenty sort of is like falling into the category that I feel about mcgrath, where it's like, I don't really care what you're doing. You're gonna have to do something that wows me. And, I just mentioned that I'm a foundation girly, so this should pique my interest in some way. But it's like the packaging. I keep forgetting that I need to stand to the side. I just want to take up all this light, I just want to soak it up. I want to soak up the sun, The packaging of this. It looks like that, and that's why I don't want to use it. It's like giving me like drugstore vibes. And obviously there's nothing wrong with drugstore makeup, but I understand that like this isn't the most expensive thing that one could buy at a Sephora or an Ulta, but it's like that's my face for this pack. Like, that's how I feel about it. I just think that my disdain for the original Eaze Drop is the reason that I have no interest in this, because it's like I really didn't care for the Eaze Drop. It's one of like earlier videos on my channel. You can go check it out. I don't think I end up hating it, but it's just like I didn't like it, and it's like, so why do I think I would like this other thing from the Eaze Drop? It's also just like Fenty in general. Not very interested in what they're doing, and like this doesn't pique my interest, really. I just had a really scary moment. There was like loose thread on my floor. I really had to quickly play the game. Is that a bug? Which is not a game I like to lose, because is that a bug? If it's not, no, we've lost. Anyway, hi. If you are new to my channel and you made it this far, welcome. Hi. So my channel is about loving my makeup collection as it currently is, first and foremost, but I believe that we are all allowed to navigate the beauty space however we see fit. You could be a collector or whatever, but I like to focus on loving my makeup collection first and foremost. But I do love to try new things, and I'm also, a YouTube channel, so I do get the opportunity sometimes to review things that I wouldn't have had the money for or would have bought in the first place. So I try to keep that in mind as I navigate this space, and so I just try to not promote over consumption. But everyone is welcome to participate in my channel, but that's what my focus is on. So I just try to be very discerning about what I choose to buy and what I choose to not. So if that kind of content sounds good to you, I would love to have you subscribe. I'm on patreon.com, as I said earlier, patreon.com/hautemesstom. I do some additional content over there. It's just a way to support my channel. It's a way to help me get access to new things to review by supporting me financially. You're not required to do that. You can choose to, or you can choose not to. Like, that's totally up to you if you don't have the means, or you just simply do not want to. But my podcast with my friend Kackie lives on our Patreon, so you can join mine or hers. So you get 4 podcasts episodes, and then you also get an additional pre-filmed video, and then I'm starting to do live streams. So I just did my first live stream. Hopefully it went well. Hopefully we decided that we're gonna do that again. But yeah, that's what happens on my Patreon. Oh, speaking of podcasts, I also do a podcast with my best friend and roommate Tiffany. It's called Recollect. It's a music podcast. We do a little music history. We have a tee-hee-hee look at lists of music, current and old, and we talk about the songs, give you a little bit of history, and then we decide whether or not they're a bop or a stop. You can find that on Spotify, and it's linked down below. Remember to like the video and let me know how you feel about some of these new releases down in the comments below. Okay, I think I did all of my YouTuber duties. Do them. Thank you. I appreciate you. Okay. don't know why I held the soda up near the mic while I did that. I could edit that out, but I haven't edited this yet. I'm filming, I'm filming. I know I left that in. Anyway, my Diet Dr. Pepper break is over. How's everyone doing in the back? Let me hear you scream. How's the energy? Woo! I'm sweating and I'm barely wearing clothes. Okay, I think we should touch down. I don't want to talk about this, but we're going to talk about it. Kaleidos released the Alma Viva collection, an awakening rebirth of spirit, cascade of desire that transcends needless noise to thunder in the hearts of humanity. Did that sentence make sense? This includes 2 quads, 4 blushes, and 7 lip glazes. The 2 quads that were released. So the last 2 releases from Kaleidos have been cool tone quads. I did try one of them to review a while ago, earlier in the year. My resolve was highly pigmented shadows that are relatively easy to work with, but nothing special. That's how I feel about Kaleidos eyeshadows. I don't know where they're going, and I don't know who they're selling to anymore. I love cool toned eyeshadows. I love cool tones. I'm one of the few beauty tubers who's like, give me all the cool tones, please. And like, that's great. However, if your last 4 quads have all been cool tones, like maybe throw the warm tones a bone, give them something to talk about. They look like the same thing. And I have seen people compare them, and they're like, they're not exactly the same. And it's like, in my opinion, that's not the point. I personally don't need to have 6 things that are pretty close to one another. If all the eye looks kind of look the same, then I need one of them, and I can pick the version of those 6 things that it's going to be the most suitable for me, for sure. But do I need all 6 of them? No. And I wouldn't buy another eyeshadow quad from Kaleidos unless they were doing something different texturally, because that was my big issue, is like, I'm not very interested in this texturally. Like, it's fine, but I don't care. Big fans of Kaleidos, or former big fans of Kaleidos, were a bit peeved that this kind of looked like everything else that they've been releasing recently, especially the people who used to go to Kaleidos for bold colors, which is like what they were known for until about a year ago. And then they discontinued all their colorful palettes. So don't know what they're doing. Don't know where they're headed. But then they released these blushes. I have one of the blushes from the original collection, like whenever they first released their blushes. I have the shade Dreamwalk. I really like it. It's great. I don't know how it would work on deeper skin tones. I would assume it would look ashy on deeper skin tones because it's like, it has a lot of white in it. Like a bright, cool toned pink, like the pink that was really popular last year, like that pink. And I know that there are formulas in that bright pink that work really well on deep skin tones, and so they released these really light blushes, like for people who are really fair. Now, up until now, recently, I don't know if this has come into play, and this is not an excuse for Kaleidos. I don't know where Kaleidos' largest market is. I know that they are a Chinese brand. It's really hard to know what's going on in the Chinese market. I think makeup-wise, I think the Chinese market is what causes the most confusion in the beauty industry, especially when it comes to cruelty-free, etc., etc. I'm not trying to say that the quality of things that come out of China are bad because of this. I'm not trying to say that, but I do think that China's the market that's a little bit more confounding and harder to understand. So I don't know if Kaleidos is really popular in China, and if anyone does know, please let us know down in the comments. This feels like perhaps these blushes were designed with like the skin tones in China that are most prevalent. So you see it in like J-Beauty too. Like whenever you're shopping on like K-Beauty and J-Beauty websites, like their shades only go so deep, and typically the shade range is like 2 if it's a complexion product, like 2 to 4. I just said 5. This says 5. My mouth says 4. I do know my heart, but I don't know my hand. I wonder if that's what happened here, but it doesn't really make sense because I feel like most of the people, well, I guess I don't, if anyone knows any like people who live in China that are like makeup influencers that post on YouTube, and I know that's like difficult because I know that I've learned relatively recently, that like YouTube is like blah. Anyway, if anyone knows a good resource for like this kind of information, I would love to know more. I would love to have like, that would help clear up a little bit of things. But it's just like, it does feel like Kaleidos' market is mostly in America, but that's also coming from me, a dumb American who doesn't know a lot about like international relations when it comes to makeup. So if you are going to sell in America, if we're like a market that you like sell to a lot, and like one of the biggest problems that we talk about in the makeup industry, it's like Kaleidos is on social media. They know what people are talking about and they see the feedback. In fact, after that, the controversy of these blushes being too light and being like just for people with the fairest of fair skin tones, after that happened, I feel like they posted a lot about like what was available. And it's interesting because Kaleidos has face palettes. They have face palettes, like, and their contours go very deep. It's confusing. It's just like, how did we land? It doesn't make sense. And you cannot release a makeup collection that is like specifically for light-skinned people. Like, it doesn't make sense. And then the lip gloss things I don't care about. I've heard that the packaging's really nice. And that's one thing I will say about Kaleidos is that I found that after interacting with their makeup, I was like pretty impressed with the quality of their packaging. I'm not going to buy anything from this Kaleidos collection. I'm not really generally interested in Kaleidos at all, you know, moving forward, to be quite honest. Not in like a rude way, but maybe in a little bit of a rude way. Makeup by Mario released the Surreal Skin Awakening Concealer, a multi-use concealer that visibly lifts, blurs, and brightens the under eyes and complexion. Caffeine visibly depuffs, tightens, and smooths skin for an awakened look. Medium coverage, buildable formula, crease-proof, and long-wearing with a self-setting formula that locks with a natural skin-like finish. 22 shades, $29 each. These before and after photos. Get out of here. Not my Surreal Skin. I have some products in the Surreal Skin line from Surat, and I really like them so far. Yeah, whatever. I tried that foundation. Didn't like it. Not for me. Couldn't really figure out who it was for, but it was really popular. It went viral on TikTok. Recently on Instagram, I got a notification that Makeup by Mario wanted to use one of my shorts about the foundation in their Instagram shop. I said yes. I agreed to it because I just want to see what happens. You know, it's my content. Let me do what I want with it. I do think about the greater ramifications for, you know, content creators. Like, I wasn't sure what it was, so I looked and I agreed. But that short, that reel that I made about that they want to put, like, use in it is like, I don't say nice things about the foundation. It was, so I don't know. I'm a little bit confused as to, like, why that was a thing that the brand asked to do. Anyway, back to this. Didn't love the foundation. I have no desire to try the other version of the complexion product that I didn't like. And it's also possible because it has happened to me before where like there's a range of makeup and it's like I like the concealer or the foundation, but I hate the other part of it. So like it's possible. But like the only is that true? Yeah, I think the only thing I have liked by Makeup by Mario that I have tried is the Ethereal Eyes palette, which I own and I love. There's like some dents in some of those shimmers, so like I'm not lying. But I tried the Skin Perfector and I tried the foundation, and like I don't like either of those. What is this? You know, whatever the cream bronzer perfector thing. I didn't love that. So like I don't know that I'm gonna love this. So I'm just gonna pass. Like a hard pass for me. No thank you. It sounds lovely. I'm like on the listserv for their emails, but they were like caffeine and concealer. And I was like, there's so many concealers that have caffeine. Calm down. I would like to briefly touch on the Lancome and the Louvre. Louvre. Am I doing that right? Louvre. Let me know in the chat. Probably not. Louvre. The Louvre. We'll say it like an American. I just want to say, I don't need this. And I won't buy this. But what I will tell you is that I did stop for a second and look at the eyeshadow and palette and go, let's remove the marble outside packaging and then let's remove that beautiful embossing on it, which in my ideal world, I'm using the eyeshadow enough that the embossing eventually is no longer there. And if that's the case, what's left? A green shimmer that I'm pretty interested in, and then a bunch of other shimmer shades that I don't really care about. It got me, gal. And this is why you need to take a beat sometimes, right? You need to take a beat because if I looked at that long enough and I think about it, I'm like, that's not really gonna add to me. But it's really beautiful. Start to the outside, like all of it's really pretty. And then it's like, what if it didn't have the branding that it did? What if it wasn't a partnership with the Louvre, you know? And then what's left? 5 boring eyeshadows, one of them being really big compared to the rest of them. It's pretty. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a really pretty collection. It's like really the aesthetic, nothing really better right now. That's really beautiful. But like, it's not something that I need to try at all. All right, let's talk about her. Let's talk about eyeshadow for a second. I almost just knocked down everything. The wire on my microphone. I just had the thought, I need a wireless microphone. I recently was talking to Kackie, and Kackie was like, you have a lot of microphones. And I said, I do. I do love the sound of my own voice. Let's talk about the eyeshadow palette. This is the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette. A cool toned palette with 15 new nude shades and a matte metallic sparkling fold. I have avoided all of the reviews on this, and I'll tell you why. I am tempted. Natasha sometimes get the makeup monster inside of me going for some eyeshadows. I really like Natasha Denona's eyeshadow formula. It's one of my favorite formulas, and I do think that with the addition of the new shimmer shades that they had in the Yucca palette, they're like on their way to like figuring out some beautiful textures for us, and I really love that. I love being a boring Bessie with my eyeshadow. I do. I'm an Anne inside. I'm an Anne. So this, if you don't know what I mean by I'm an Anne, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Go watch some Teresa's Dead. Anyway, Are you new here? She, stunning. A neutral palette with like the new shimmers from Natasha Denona. Very appealing. And it seemed to get into the minds a lot of my friends on Instagram. A lot of people bought this. I don't know why I said that like that. And I didn't do another take. So that's the take. Am I the only one who didn't? I felt a little lonely on my little island. Now, I did post on my Instagram. I said, ooh, I want to go to there. And I stand by that. Like, I do think this is a really beautiful palette. Someone took the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette and held it up next to the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude. Oh, I have it. I already have the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude. And even without the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette, I probably have the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette. And it's back to that conversation where it's like, do I have the exact things? Probably not. But do I have something where I could do everything in there? Yeah. And like, even removing the ethereal eyes, would it take a little bit of like going into a couple of palettes? Sure. But I have it. Like, I have that, especially with the ethereal eyes. And I was one of the few people who ended up getting their hands on the ethereal eyes palette from Makeup by Mario. That they said limited edition, and they meant it. And honestly, I respect it. And Chanel was trying to do that to me, and I didn't mind it when Makeup by Mario did it because I got mine. But when Chanel did it, I didn't like it very much. I didn't really care for it. I'm lucky enough to have the Ethereal Eyes palette, and I love it. I used it today. I didn't use all of it today. Some of it's the Izumea palette, so I used 2 palettes to do my eye look today. So what is this gonna bring me that I don't already have? And it would just be another eyeshadow palette. And you know what? I told you already in this video, I'm not really in the market for like new eyeshadows. So it's like, you got me, Natasha, but you didn't get my money. That's a win for my wallet. I spent what I would have spent on this Natasha Denona palette on a blush from Chanel. Ooh. Patrick Ta, the Major Dimensions 3 matte eyeshadow palette. Cool and warm tones, matte and cream formulas, all in one palette. $70. I have a question for you. This is a real question. How many people do you know personally, or watch on YouTube, or follow on Instagram or TikTok? How many people do you know that have used the Patrick Ta eyeshadow palettes past their prime content-wise? Who's pulling out those palettes and being like, this is my favorite thing, I use it all the time, I pan in it? I don't think I know one person who is that excited about Patrick Ta eyeshadows. So I think it's like brave and bold and beautiful that Patrick Ta's like, I can release a matte eyeshadow palette for $70 and people will think that's worth their money. I have spent more than $70 before all this inflation nonsense on an all matte eyeshadow palette. I bought the cool toned mattes from Viseart, and I really like that palette because I really like Viseart eyeshadows. And there are a lot of people who really like Viseart eyeshadows. So I'm not the only person, right? Like, if you heard that I liked Viseart eyeshadows, but I was the only person who was like, paying $80 for this eyeshadow palette felt worth it to me. But like, I feel like no one, after people like review this palette, or I feel like the best I've seen about his eyeshadows are that they're fine, and the worst I've seen is everyone decluttered them. Like, I don't know. I just feel like no one cares about these. And I just think that going with an all matte eyeshadow palette whenever your formula isn't absolutely raved about is a mistake. I would recommend so many more before buying this one from Patrick Ta. Like, I previously mentioned Viseart, a little more expensive for their 15 pan, but worth it. And you get a lot of product in them. I'm not saying that you don't get a lot of product from Mr. Ta, but you get a lot of product in Viseart shadows. So also, if you're a quantity person where you're like, you will use that matte, those mattes, and those will be your only mattes, they'll last you a while if you're going to go Viseart. Makeup by Mario has the matte palette. I really like Makeup by Mario eyeshadows, so I could see that being a good option. I'm okay with companion palettes, but I wouldn't buy mine from Patrick Ta. And his packaging leaves something to be desired for me personally. And it's like the kind of packaging that's like so shiny, like the second you touch it, there's fingerprints all over it. And then it's like, ugh, it's ugly now, you know? It's a pass for me, but maybe you're more excited about it. But like, yeah, it's like, unless you released your eyeshadows and everyone on the planet said that that was the best formula, I would really love to have a bunch of neutral mattes from you in one eyeshadow palette. I think we've like missed the mark about maybe what the consumers want. But I'm also probably wrong because this is not the only all matte neutral eyeshadow palette that we're going to be talking about today. YSL. Try again. I'm going to read the trend mood post just so we can all get our heads on a little bit straighter here. So it has been confirmed that Marc Jacobs Beauty will be returning and they are coming back with Coty. So Coty is like a brand incubator they've worked with them on their fragrances before. But a lot of makeup brands are like under the Coty umbrella. So they just begun working on Marc Jacobs Prestige Beauty line, which will be ready in 2 to 3 years. So we might start seeing it in 2025. I'm excited to see Marc Jacobs come back into the beauty space. It's interesting because Marc Jacobs was like a high-end, I want to say high-end, not luxury, but like a high-end priced beauty brand that sometimes would release like really innovative, beautiful, a little bit off the wall kind of makeup. And I hope that they keep that. I hope they keep that spirit as this new makeup line comes out. I'm a little bit sad that we're not going to see those eyeliners come back because I really like those eyeliners. They're going to have to reformulate. They're not going to be able to use the exact formulation unless Marc Jacobs, the brand, owns those formulas, which I doubt. I bet that it belongs to the same brand that owns KVD and Fenty. I'll post their name up here. 2 to 3 years. It feels like we know about this way too soon. I don't care enough about Marc Jacobs to care about them in 2025. I also don't know what the makeup industry is going to look like in 2025. What will our community be talking about and excited about by then? And I know it's their job to kind of like project that onto us and be like, you want this, right? And then all the brands are like, you want this. This is what you want. But here's what I will say. If you're going to take 2 to 3 years to formulate, those better be. And I know that makeup takes a long time to formulate, even the bad stuff. My thought here and now is like, this better be some kick-ass makeup. Because if it's not, and we waited 2 to 3 years from this announcement to try it, that's not good. Don't do that. I also want to see better packaging from them. Like, they had some interesting packaging, but like, I don't know. Give me what I want. Marc Jacobs, give me what I want. Not what everyone wants. Give me some good packaging. Give us some sustainable luxury packaging. Ooh. Cover FX is like marketing again. It doesn't seem as though they are releasing anything new. They're just kind of like doing a little bit of a push of like, remember us? We didn't. Sorry. I would like to see Cover FX, what they could do. Because I think that like if Cover FX could do some like quality complexion based stuff and like really make that their niche, but make it like interesting and sellable, I think that they could do something. No one's real focus is complexion, and if they made that their thing, that'd be pretty cool. But also like feel innovative and fresh. Are they capable of that? I don't know. I was asked to talk about this. I probably wouldn't have otherwise. And that's not shade to the brand nor the person we're going to talk about. Trevor, Barrett, and Dose of Colors did a collaboration together. And it includes a gloss, an eyeliner. So I think the focus, let's look at the eyeshadow palette. I think that's a really pretty eyeshadow palette. It's nothing that really excites me. I've never personally tried Dose of Colors. The only time that Dose of Colors really got me is when they collaborated with Nima Tang and they did that really, really dark nude. I've almost bought it so many times. Also want to mention this. 5% of the sales for this collection will go to the It Gets Better Project, a nonprofit organization that uplifts and empowers LGBTQIA plus individuals. I am not aware of this person's existence. And that is not shade. The internet and the world is a really vast place. So I don't expect everyone to know who I am. I don't know everyone. I'm going to use they, them pronouns for this person. I do not know them. Their makeup is really cool. It looks really liner heavy from the liner imagery. So take that with a grain of salt. I think it's really lovely. It looks like there's like a lot of textures, duochromes, but some neutral bases. This is one of those palettes that's like really good for a person who wants to like try that kind of thing, but like wants to have some other stuff to fall back on. Really great for that. I'm at a place in my makeup world where like that's not something that I have the stuff that I want to pair stuff with. I'm more interested in finding like smaller quads with interesting textures or single eyeshadows that don't feel like any of the other single eyeshadows I have, but also that are colors that I would like to use. I see a lot in this eyeshadow palette that is really pretty, but a lot of stuff that I already have. It feels like the beginner palette for interesting textures and shifts. It's not for like people, and when I say mastered, I don't mean that, but it's not for people who are like really in it. And like, I feel as far as like indie eyeshadows and texture, like I'm in it past this. But I think that if I didn't know anything about that world, this would be like a really, really cool palette. And it just feels really well thought out and well put together, more than a lot of collaborations we've seen recently when it comes to eyeshadows. So I really commend them for that. It looks really cool. I would try it if it came my way. It's not something I would buy. Paco Rabanne's makeup is starting to be released, and it looks like it's all eye focused so far. So they released a couple of quads. Are they creams? The handbag eyeshadow palette by Rabonne reinvents the powder experience with innovative finish and sensory qualities. It's much more interesting looking than I really did blow it off the last video I made. I was like, I don't have any desire. And I still don't really have any desire to try it, but it's like interesting to look at. That's for sure. So they have the quads and then they have these color shots, which look like the Danessa Myricks pigments, the House Labs pigments, like a cream liquid pigment. Is it for all over the face? It's an eye paint, so specifically I thought maybe you might be able to use some of those as blushes. There are some cool colors in there. Not a lot of texture happening, so whatever, don't really care. Then they released these like eyeshadow duos, and it's like, maybe we could have just done quads or the duos, and then maybe done an additional thing for your like initial launch. This is what it seems to be. Oh, there's a mascara. Okay, there's a mascara as well. The way that Makeup on My Radar posted these, they're like all their own posts, which is why I didn't see that. So there's a mascara too. Sure. Okay. The duos are interesting looking, but like an eyeshadow duo is like, I don't know what I'm doing with that. I think perhaps if I was a person on the go and that was something that I would like throw in my bag, maybe. But like these colorways are like interesting, but I would expect something like this to be a little bit more wearable and less like explorative. Packaging is refreshing. The color stories are a little bit weird and interesting. So I do appreciate that both Prada and Paco Rabanne are like, it's not gonna be your like, it's not your mama's luxury brand, okay? We have fun here. I'm less dismissive of this Paco Rabanne brand, but it's also like something. It's not nothing, but it's still not getting my coin. We'll end here. So this is the Groundwork Defining Neutrals All Over Face Palette from Danessa Myricks. Inspired by Danessa Myricks' pro artistry techniques, this all over face palette makes it easy to do makeup like a pro. So it's an everyday face framing palette in neutral shades for all skin tones, buildable color all over the face and eye colors to create a soft, bold results with velvet satin finish. The removable pans are perfect for beauty lovers and pro artists on the go. Here's what I will say. This is much better than the Patrick Ta one. The Patrick Ta one was all variants of beige, but like this goes like a step further. We have like more cool tones. Some things have like a little bit of olive in them. I don't quite understand. There's velvet pomades, and then there's the Shape and Fix powders. So those are powders, and then so I'm a little bit confused about that. But if I were to buy one of the two like neutral matte companion palettes, I'd be more inclined to choose this one. However, I have interacted with a handful of Danessa Myricks products at this point. I'm sweating. Danessa Myricks really likes to apply makeup the way that I've interacted with a handful of Danessa Myricks product, and the way that I feel is like Danessa really likes to apply makeup the way she likes to apply makeup, which I don't think the way her and I like to do makeup really align that much. And that's not to say that her products aren't good. It's like Danessa's making products that will help her do makeup the way that she likes, easier and better, which I think is fantastic. This is really cool. I think that this is like much more innovative, feels right. It still feels boring to me, but like I have built my collection to like, I don't need this. This is not something that I need. I'm sure if I tried it, maybe I would like it. I might not like it because like the Danessa Myricks products I've tried have confounded me more so than impressed me. And when I say that, it's not that I don't think that they are good. It's just like, I don't do my makeup like this. I have a feeling if I tried this, I would feel similarly. But I think it's cool. It feels like she tried to do something no one else is doing with a concept that feels boring, redundant, and something that like many people might not be interested in. And I think she has succeeded in making it feel a little more interesting for makeup consumers. I'm curious if anyone is a pro makeup artist, how you feel about this as like for you in your kit. I mean, I can't speak to that. I'm not a professional makeup artist. I know that for me and like the size of my makeup collection at this juncture, this is not something that makes a lot of sense for me to purchase. But it also is one of those things that like it would probably be best for people who are new at makeup. You know, when I got into the makeup game, if someone said, this is going to be something that will be really handy for you, I would be like, that looks really boring and I do not want to buy that. I'm going to go buy the sparkly stuff. So I can understand people who are getting into makeup. This would be not something, but this feels like most appropriate for people who are like building the groundwork of their makeup collection. I think, as you can tell, the way I'm talking about it, it's like not something I'm very interested in for myself. It's something that I'd be very interested to hear people talk about. I don't know that I would be the one. Again, the Danessa Myricks products I've like interacted with personally, I've been like That's how I felt about them. Like, oh no, like, that's not how I do my makeup. Anyway, it's the end of the video. If you enjoyed today's video, I hope you'll subscribe if you're not already, but if you are already subscribed, go ahead and give it a like. That goes for the people who are just stopping by. You can just like it and leave. That's also, you don't have to subscribe. You can do whatever you want. But like some kind of interaction, maybe a comment. You could do any of those things. Again, I'm on patreon.com. You could do that. And if you feel like it, you could check out my podcast, Recollect with my friend Tiffany, on Spotify, linked down below, because Recollect, the way it sounds and the way it's spelled, a little bit different. That's my time. My memory is running out. It's telling me that my memory is running out, so I have to go. Remember to follow your haute, and you will find me. Bye-bye.